Celebration images coming from the Bharatiya Janata Party there. Well, BJP looks to set to return to power in New Delhi. And as per latest trends, the party is leading 47 seats. Several AAP leaders have lost, including former Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal from the New Delhi seat. He was defeated by BJP's Parvesh. The former Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia has conceded defeat from Jangpura. And to discuss this more, we are now being joined by Sandeep Ghose. He's a political commentator and an author. Thank you for joining us on the show. Well, big day for the capital of the country. Do tell us what is your initial reaction to seeing these results as we are seeing right now?
The two parts. I think this is a defeat for Arvind Kejriwal more than that of the Aam Aadmi Party or Arvind Kejriwal's brand of politics, which had become discredited because his credibility was lost. He came with a new promise. He had shown he was a new beacon, but over a period of time, I think he seriously diluted his own image. And this is really speaking an undoing of that. I don't consider this to be, a question so much of the feeling of corruption, etc., which I think today has got normalized. Ordinary people do not expect all political parties to be lily white. But where Arvind Kejriwal failed is, everybody else finally have their core constituency, some people who swear by them, who are devoted to them. But Arvind Kejriwal lost that constituency because they found him to be very different from everything that he had promised to be. So it is therefore it's a defeat for Arvind Kejriwal more than anything else. And the implications of that, of how does, especially because he has lost his own seat, how does the Aam Aadmi Party unravel now is something one has to watch carefully. Because there is a lot of angst against him. You'll see not just from his opponents or former allies like Congress, but his older associates, his estranged associates who left him. And I expect some of this angst to also come from his current, associates who are still there in the party, who will hold him responsible for bringing them down. And you may see, first of all, in Aam Aadmi Party, a bit of a disintegration like you've seen in Maharashtra of a Shiv Sena UBT to Shiv Sena Shinde, those sort of a thing. But Arvind Kejriwal's own relevance in national politics will become questionable. We don't know how the Punjab unit of Aam Aadmi Party is going to react to this. So far, he was remote controlling Punjab. If Bhagwat Maan or other people assert more independence, so those are elements. Then comes the element of Congress. Congress, I think, is in another sense the biggest loser because Congress has today proven that on its own, it's a non-starter. And if it becomes an ally of some other people, it becomes a liability. So going forward, for example, in Bihar, what does RJD do with Congress? If they take Congress as an ally and give them away, give some seats away to them, they would think that those seats, they are simply giving up those seats and lose those numbers. But if they take, if they don't take Congress, then Congress can become a bit of a vote divider like they were in Delhi, though they got only 6 or 7%, and in Bihar they may get more, and that might cause a loss too. So how does Congress, today is a lot of, they're in an echo chamber, they are talking a lot, trying to grab eyeballs, but if it's not translating finally into electoral victory or even a credible electoral performance, that becomes a matter of worry. It's good for BJP. I think it's a great morale booster before they go in for Bihar and other elections. So to that extent, it's good. And the kind of, BJP had got into a little bit of a defensive mode post June 4th. You'll find probably the mojo coming back. Hopefully this will lead to some more decisive action on reforms and changes. They don't have to be, pulling their punches. So that is one part of it. But I think, therefore, one has to wait and watch how the AAP unravels and how the other India alliance partners react to this development.
Mr. Ghosh, was this on expected lines, Arvind Kejriwal falling out of favor with his supporters to this degree?
I think, that's what people had guessed. But how does it translate? Because people thought that he has still managed to cultivate certain constituents, especially in the, people who are in the lower income group, the people who are migrants into Delhi, what they call the Juggi Jhopri constituency, some sections in the minorities, etc. So they thought because of the freebies and other things which they have been promising, he would hold on to that constituency. But I think BJP kind of checkmated him on that, on 2 counts. They promised the same set of freebies. The RSS, which had sort of disengaged a little bit earlier, they got back into the act. They did a lot of mobilization on the ground. And BJP targeted each of these pockets. There are the Purvanchalis people in certain sections. They got their Purvanchali leaders to come in and campaign within them. Other sections. So they did a very great micromanagement of everything. And I think that's what, and Delhi, if you see actually the analysis of the results, these are very, very, many seats you'll find have been won and lost with less than or just around 1,000 votes. So some of these things really go into the wire. So micromanagement matters. And I think BJP finally got his act together after 30 years, almost 30 years, 28 years.
While you do say that micromanagement has really worked in favor of the Bharatiya Janata Party, if you were to really list out a couple of things, what do you think has worked in their favor for them to be able to clinch this elusive territory?
First of all, as I said, I think the RSS did a fantastic job. RSS had become a little disengaged earlier. BJP, the local unit had a lot of factionalism in it. I think they were able to put those things at rest, and they fought the election without a chief ministerial face, primarily on the promise of not exactly the prime minister, but what the BJP has done at the center. They didn't make it an Arvind Kejriwal versus a Narendra Modi fight, which would have probably helped an Arvind Kejriwal, the typical David and Goliath story. They didn't turn it into that. But RSS worked silently on the ground. Then, as I said, they also targeted each of these pockets, whether it was the, Purvanchalis, people from UP and Bihar who migrated here. On the other side, there were the Jats and other people from Haryana and Rajasthan. They had come. So each of these constituencies were addressed. But finally, they realized that it is not just addressing, they had to counter the so-called freebies and sops of Arvind Kejriwal, because he was making a point as soon as BJP comes, those will be withdrawn. So they made absolutely categorical announcement, not only that we are not going to discontinue any of that, but in fact upped the promise on many counts and reassured the people. So those people who had earlier been swayed by the freebies, they came back, because as AAPs, much contrary to their own hype, the delivery on the ground was far from satisfactory. So, and people were really also, a bit fed up with this constant confrontation and the fights which used to go on. And so they thought, okay, now if we have a central government which will be aligned, and they are giving us all the goodies which we wanted, we are probably better off.
Mr. Ghosh, this just coming in, Atishi has won from her constituency of Kalkaji, defeating Ramesh Biduri of BJP. She seems to have found support in her vote bank, hasn't she, in comparison to Kejriwal?
I don't know the margin. Yes, she has. I think that's what I'm saying. To some extent, you'll find that some of these people, I feel personally, Manish Sisodia lost, but I think Manish Sisodia has his own equity. And that is what will one has to wait and see how those things pan out. Because so far, Arvind Kejriwal was the first and the last word about AAP. But now you'll find some of these leaders also asserting their place in equity, and some people who have been pulled down, they will blame Kejriwal for their defeat. So you will find a churn in the party, and Kejriwal may not be that unquestioned supremo, which he has been so far. And how those power equations pan out is something to wait and watch. And so disintegration of the party is entirely possible to some extent. And because BJP, even if it's winning whatever numbers we are showing now, BJP would be happy to get some more people on its side to have even a bigger majority there, because right now, while there's a majority, it's not a very decisive, a very large majority. So if some of the people, just like you're seeing in Maharashtra, as I alluded to, moving from Shiv Sena UBT to Shiv Sena Shinde, if those sort of movements happen here, that'll be good for BJP. And within the remaining AAP, things Kejriwal will have at best the first among equals, but not necessarily right there, way above them.
Mr. Ghosh, where do you think AAP was found wanting? What more could they have done? Delhi has been their stronghold.
AAP has been wanting, basically, I think, as I said, they have proven to be quite different from all the promises they came in with. Mm-hmm. They talked about being a party with a difference. Putting it mildly, they normalized themselves. They became just like any other party, or some would say even worse, because Kejriwal, as I said earlier, repeating myself, that Kejriwal's own credibility, the kind of comments he would make, the way he would shift his stand from day to day, everything, I think his own credibility was lost. So when you come into that level, then between, when you have nothing, no differentiator, you sometimes go for the proven guy. And if BJP is there at the center, they're delivering, you probably go there. Rather than go for somebody, you say, okay, he's got 10 years, whatever he has delivered. And we see him changing his stand all the time. He doesn't seem a very stable guy. So the differentiator is lost. And as I was mentioning earlier, some of the newer leaders, state leaders, they have some core constituency, whether you want to call, say, Akhilesh Yadav in UP, or even Mayawati, or you talk about Mamta Banerjee in West Bengal. They have a certain chunk of society who are solidly behind them, electorate. Kejriwal said he didn't have any differentiation to offer, because he wanted everything mean everything for everyone. And so he had no distinct proposition to offer for them. Only thing were the freebies. And when BJP matched that along with some ground level mobilization, that's where Kejriwal had, he was neutralized.
Mr. Sandeep Ghosh, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast with your invaluable analysis.
Thank you so much.
All right, as it stands, BJP is looking set to return to power in the capital. The latest numbers that we have is BJP wins in 48 seats, AAM trailing on 22 seats. The current Chief Minister Atashi has also won from a constituency, defeating Ramesh Baduri of the BJP. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.